Today's opening quote is, "Live the life that people write novels about." I saw that somewhere on Instagram. Hello, good people. How are you? This is Sharon Harris from the Hot Foot Roams podcast. I hope you're well. It's been an adventurous week for me. But before I mention any of that adventure, this is part 2 of my conversation with Tammy Lynn Saunders, my mate who went traveling for 5 months and she took her children with her. So I was in conversation with her last week. It was a lengthy conversation, people. So I've made it a two-parter. So this week we catch up with the rest of Tammy's travels, catch up with her kids too. So that's good. But yeah, before I get onto that episode, it's been a busy week for me. So what have I been up to? I went to the World Travel Show about a week ago. I keep calling it the World Travel Show. It might have a different name. That's why I call it. In London, it was at the Excel Centre. All countries from around the world were there, showcasing their wares and their bits and bobs, lots of networking, lots of social media influencers, and it was really good. It was quite overwhelming, actually, because I didn't expect it to be that big. I don't know if you know London's Excel Centre. If you do, you know how big that place is. This event took over the entire Excel, upstairs and down. Place was heaving with people. I mean, heaving, man. Heaving. And I didn't actually get to see everything because on Monday was more like a trade day. So I decided I wasn't going to go. And then when the Wednesday, I had another event to go to. I had another all-day conference to go to, actually. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And so my only day was the Tuesday, and I could have really done with going on day 2 also. But yeah, networked, met quite a few cool people. I drank lots of cocktails that I came across at the British Virgin Islands stand. That was cool. Made a friend, as you do. And just met loads of cool people. Went to a networking session about women in travel and met some really cool ladies actually doing some really good things. Some stuff around kind of sustainable travel, some stuff around encouraging more Black women to travel. One lady is setting up a travel brand around halal travel, which I'd never actually heard of. I mean, it makes total sense, obviously, but I have never heard of that. And she said, yeah, it's quite a big deal. She's a Muslim woman, so it's definitely something that's speaks to her, and she travels with her family. So, she's looking into making it much more accessible and encouraging other kind of accommodation providers, etc., to really encompass those who are traveling halal. I thought that was amazing. So swap details and stuff like that, did all of that. I should have really had their details to hand so that I could have mentioned their handles on my podcast. I'm sorry, ladies. I didn't actually think about that until I just started talking, and I thought, should have mentioned you by name. Don't worry, I will mention you on my Instagram, won't I? So, that's been what else I go to. Yeah, I went to a conference called the RAIN Summit. That's radio and audio industry networking or network. That was quite interesting. So I went as a podcaster because that's who I am. And I met a couple other people that were podcasting, and there was literally only a couple of us. But this conference was really aimed at those who are industry leads, so people who are leads in marketing for BBC and other types of organizations, DAX Audio, people who are leads within sales, people who are leads within advertising, people who are leads within technology, and how that's influencing the audio digital environment. And there was a couple of elements on the day summit about podcasting. So obviously that's what piqued my interest. Yes, the summit was quite interesting as a whole day, but there were parts of it that were just like, wow, 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 wow. So I was only interested in the podcasting bits, which were really cool, actually. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you would know that a couple months ago, I had applied for Spotify had a podcasting boot camp for new podcasters. So those who are new to podcasting, sorry, I'm recording with my earrings in again. I can hear it knocking on the headphones. So I just took those out. So sorry. So yeah, I applied for the Spotify boot camp thingy me bob and submitted an application. I had literally got it like the day before, and the day before the deadline. Didn't realize it was the day before the deadline. A friend of mine sent in WhatsApp. I'm like, yeah, cool, man, I'm gonna submit. Then I was out raving one day, came in about 1:45. Sophie said, let me just check the deadline. Fuck! Did you say midnight? God damn. So I submitted an application. It went through. They confirmed they received it. They kept me in the loop about what was happening, blah, blah, blah. So obviously I made it. And then I got an email saying, thanks, but no thanks. We won't be proceeding with your application. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, fair enough. At the Rain Summit, I happened to meet one of the, I guess you call her coaches, one of the podcast coaches was on the panel. I'm like, hey, okay. So I had to just corner her at the, after the talk and go, okay, so what's the deal, lady? Because like I applied for that thing and my application was rejected. What's the story? And she's like, to be honest, I was only in the final stages of the shortlisting. I wasn't involved in the bigger pool of shortlisting. I didn't see that. So it was only when I was only involved in those whittling down to the last 10. I was like, okay, fair enough. I'll accept that. So, as I said, did lots of networking, met loads of people. There is a quite lengthy post on my Instagram about it. Check it out. However, so fast forward now, a few days later, maybe a week later, and I went to an event at the British Library hosted by Hay House. Hay House are a book publisher. They specialize in a lot of kind of, spirituality, mysticism, kind of self-development type books. So I went to a talk about kind of increasing diversity in that arena of writing. And, did a bit of networking, asking a few questions. And a lady, I can plug her. She is at Soul Mama Coach on Instagram, at Soul Mama Coach. So Soul Mama, she said, yeah, I've got a podcast coming up. I've got an idea for podcast. This is what I'm working on, yada, yada, yada. Her thing is about parenting and children from a spiritual perspective. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. Oh, podcast. My ears peak up. She says, yeah, I just completed the Spotify bootcamp. Excuse me, what? Just completed the Spotify bootcamp week and, was selected, round of applause. I'm like, hey, we need to speak, lady. So I spoke to her afterwards and started picking her brain like, because I applied for that and I want to know why my application was rejected. And she was like, well, you know what? To be honest, it's like all of us, the 10 of us that were shortlisted, none of us had a podcast. We all had the idea, but no one was really working. And she goes, well, it seems like you don't really need it because you obviously got your podcast going. So, you didn't need it. And I'm like, yeah, but, they said people who are new to podcasting, whether you got one or not. I'm new. Clearly, I'm not that new in their eyes. But anyway, so I been to a couple other stuff. I've been doing a lot of kind of networking, personal development, a lot of workshopy type of stuff since I got off the plane and landed back in this city. So that's what I've been doing. I've just been literally a magnet for information and a magnet to and for people. And it's been quite useful actually. Just got to apply it a lot more. But on with today's episode. So, people, I had to sort of not re-record the intro, but update the intro. Okay, so this is really the latest. So this podcast episode is like a week's behind schedule. Okay, and the reason for that, other than the procrastinating, but the reason for that is actually I had lost on 2 occasions large bulks of audio. And I have been super pissed off because of it. So the first time I lost some audio because of the beloved Anchor app, let me not curse them too hard because they are hosting this podcast still. But yeah, I did get into it with them and they lost 47 minutes of the interview I had with Tammy. And I'm sure I mentioned that in the first part, this 2-parter. So the second time now, I've like gone back to Tammy and I've said, "Oh, hi Tam, you know, lost some audio. I really lost that juicy bit, that part of the story you was telling me." Oh, she's like, "Don't worry." I said, "Do you mind sending me like a 10-minute synopsis and I'll just add it on because we already recorded like a couple of hours, so I can't make it too much longer." She said, "Don't worry." Bless Tammy, she was super duper generous and sent me another hour plus audio to my phone. For some strange reason, I received a WhatsApp message, but my phone said not today, and the audio was lost. So I can't go back to her and request the audio again. I just can't do that. So in this episode, yes, it is a full hour plus of more convo. So you don't really know what's missing, thank God. But some stuff, what is missing that I talked about is the fact that her kids were going to feature on the episode. And there's no kids. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to tell you, I had to let you down. I'm really sorry. And it hurt my feelings because I really wanted the episode to be a certain way and it just didn't transpire. And like I said, audio got lost twice and I was just like, seriously? For fuck's sake, man. My first interview and it was a bit of hard work. It was a bit challenging. And then the kind of technical stuff just made it all the more annoying. But super grateful to Tammy for being my first guest on the Hot Foot Rums podcast, and super grateful for her to even attempt to send me the audio again. But as I said, somehow my phone said not today, and it ain't available. It ain't in the message. It's not in no backup. I didn't move it anywhere. I didn't accidentally delete it. No, I just went back to the message and he's telling me that this information is no longer available. I'm like, how is that possible? But it's happened. So the episode is as it is, like I said. Sorry, but I hope you enjoy. Wow. So after San Francisco, where did you go after that?
So after San Francisco, this was the bit when I was supposed to fly to Trinidad Carnival.
Oh, right.
But so basically it would have been about the equivalent of £60 to get to LA, and then £60 to get to Florida, Miami, and then £60 to get to Trini. That's how cheap it is coming in from that side. The issue I had was I would have to bring the kids, or it was the getting out. Do you see what I mean? I needed to work on a faster schedule so that I would have been at least have done America and Miami before I went to Trinidad to fit with my plans. Otherwise, I would have had to fly to Trinidad and then stay in the West Indies and do the whole West Indies. Because there's no point flying into Trinidad and then coming back out to America. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So in the end, I decided no, I was going to miss out because these are the sacrifices as a parent you have to make.
Yeah.
And so are you still there?
Yeah.
Yes, I went to LA. I took kids to LA. We went to see some basketball and stuff like that. Just hung out in LA. So we drove down to LA, which was lovely. I've never done that route. I've only done the route from San Francisco to Vegas.
Okay. And how long was that drive?
So that's the Pacific Sea, and actually, if you do the coast and you go down to the beaches, you see some amazing like beach life. So we saw, you know, shells the size of our hands and stuff like that. You know,
Oh.
there's sea lions and seals all along that coast. Obviously, there's sharks, great white sharks out there. So I ain't going swimming, but it's too cold to swim in that sea anyway. Lots of surfers. It's nice. Oh, so we went down past, I think, Miami, Venice Beach, was it? Can't remember which one it was that I really liked. So you know when you got those really nice beach houses?
Yeah.
So we stayed in one of my friends, one of those. It's gorgeous, and you know, yeah, it's just I've got quite a few friends out there that live on that coast.
Nice.
So it's the type of place where you think, yeah, if I was rich, I'd own a house there. I don't think I could live in that house all year though.
Part of the year, of course.
You got to be rich enough that that's just one of your houses that you own. Yeah. So, but yeah, so did LA, then we flew over to Orlando. I think, that's it. I've done Disney with my kids. So I just take my kids to Disney downtown.
Oh, yeah.
And we just do all the shops and stuff like that. Because to be honest, when we was in LA, we went to Magic Mountain, Six Flags.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome. Yeah, I would say Six Flags is better for rides than any of the Disneys and things like that. I've already done Disney and all of that both in San Diego, LA, and Florida. Do you see what I mean? When Tyler was younger. So I was like, I'm not going through that hell again. It's expensive.
Yeah, and crowded, right?
So yeah, it was Tyler's birthday, so we went Orlando. She wanted to do Disney, so I said let's just do downtown Disney and use the money we would have spent in Disney so you can buy what you want. So she ended up in Sephora buying Rihanna makeup for her birthday. She buys her Disney ears. You know, you've got all the same shops as what you've got in Disney, so you know they can buy it.
It's cheaper, right?
What, downtown
Yeah.
Disney? Yeah, no, you've definitely got Disney malls and outlet stores that you can go to if you want cheap Disney stuff. My kids more just like the shopping experience that comes with Disney. There's no point me paying to go in the park and then go on the rides. You know, like you might do the elephant ride in Disney. When they're 5, you know, yeah, take them to Disney. When they're this age, the elephant ride's not going to do nothing for them. You just do it.
Like, no, I want to go shopping, Mum.
And my kids don't do Harry Potter or anything like that. So then, you know, there's not much other than going in and taking some photos in Disney. There's no point in going in there. But the good thing for parents to know is you can actually, in Florida, take your kids to downtown Disney. You can eat there. You can do everything. You know, you can go to the shops, spend your money on some gifts for them. But wise in America, I would say, what did we go to? Forever 21. You got Walmart. I mean, Walmart. That's the thing. When you go to America, you just want to eat, don't you?
Yeah.
So much food.
And did you guys indulge food-wise?
Food-wise, yeah. Yeah, so the main place we stayed was in Miami. Once I got to Miami, we stayed quite a while. Quite a few friends over there. Although I booked somewhere else because I wanted my kids that, you know, to have like a place they could just chill for a little while. But Miami Beach, I've never been to Miami Beach before, and I love it. That was just one of the great beaches. Lots of gays there.
Lots of
gays.
Oh, okay.
So for gay people, they'd love it there. But, you know, I could kind of talk to the kids about that side of stuff. if they saw some gay people, they weren't like horrified or anything. Mummy, why is a man kissing a man? You know, like, yeah, that's the side of it. But you know, because there was a big gay festival there, but it was only up like one side of the beach.
Okay.
Which was, I thought was good, because then you could still. But Riley did see a man in a tutu and look at me a bit confused.
He's young.
Yeah, no, but I don't really overly talk that stuff. My kids haven't been around that, so they
Okay.
don't. That's not to be, you know, I wouldn't want to offend anybody, but yeah, my children don't, you know, they're not really around that, so they would have questions, I would say. Know that Tyler's a bit older, she understands it. Riley haven't, you know, he doesn't really see that. So yeah, you know, we stayed near the beach, which wasn't away from the festival that was there. And the kids are great. They're just swimming, and they'd be swimming out at sea, and there'd be dolphins jumping past them and stuff. So yeah, it was really nice beach. So
Nice.
Go to Miami. Always go to Miami Beach. There's plenty of places to eat, and
Yes,
one of my favorites. So where did I do? I'm trying to think. In Miami, the other thing is, so we went to Liberty. Have you ever heard of Liberty in Miami? So
Liberty City.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been, but I have heard of it. I've been to Miami a couple of times. I've not been to Liberty City, but I do know of it.
If I'm going to Miami, I'm going to go to the ghetto sites as well.
That is the hood.
Yeah, I don't mind in Miami because I know enough about it. In LA, I don't really mess about. I go Crenshaw and places, you know, Compton or whatever. The Miami, we went, because you basically go to these flea markets, and then the good thing is we get to go and shop around where we would usually shop. So I always say it like, oh, if my friends come to England, they'd be like, oh, I tell them these are the tourist places to go, but hey, if you want to go shopping, you know, go down Shepherd's Bush Market, go here, you know, you tell them like the local places. Yeah, you can go Westfield to the mall, but yeah, there's other places where you can go and get our kind of food and our kind of stuff. So wherever there's a Martin Luther King Drive, you will generally find.
It's always ghetto though, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And I know King must be unhappy about that, but it is always the case.
It's his people. We went around the area where I think it was Trayvon Martin was shot. You know, there were some things we got to see so that I could talk to the children. Liberty was good, great shopping. Food, you know, they just got, you know, like the Brixton Market used to be.
Yeah.
Food in there. I found a place that did Guyanese food.
Nice.
And I was hiring a pickup truck at that stage. So we had an open back pickup truck, and I'd let the kids sit in the back of it while we drive about.
Nice.
Something, you know, you got your front seats, then you got the back seats as well.
Yeah.
And a pickup truck at the back. How I drove that is it's got beepers and it's got reversing cameras.
Wow, well, that's a saving grace.
Yeah, you can see on the screen the cameras turn on whenever you've got it in reverse. Otherwise, it's the size of a truck. So it was nice because the kids could just sit in the back of the pickup and just eat, and we could just, you know, do our thing. And where was it? The bit that I went to that was quite interesting. I'm just trying to think. Oh yeah, so one of the flea markets. So if you look up the flea markets when you're in Miami, that's where you're going to go to these proper markets where you can get all your tattoos, you can get your grills. None of these things I'm going there for.
Somebody might.
They're kind of wigs. I just proper ghetto, love it. So obviously a little bit dangerous, but you know, and then through one of my friends that I know, we were talking to some guy. I've got the most amazing picture. Because I was saying to the guys, now Florida's gun laws are very open. Most of my friends that I know that live in America own a gun and have used a handgun for protection. And believe me, this is what people don't seem to understand. If you lived in a country as big as America, where it's got some very remote areas, drive around America at night, you know, out of town, and you will see how isolated it is. You have a gun. You know, this is what a lot of people don't understand about American guns. They have to have them. It's not like England. It's a lot bigger. And if you don't, you've got to think about my daughter. If she was going out, I'd protect herself. It's more a case of the other idiots out there that could have guns. My friends, they teach their kids from age 8. They haven't done the shooting ranges.
Wow, 8.
Yeah, but these guys grew up in gangs. Some of the guys that I know, but these are black. So when they say, "Oh, it's the white people who've got their kids down the shooting ranges learning to shoot," no, trust me, these guys. Number one, the reason I went to one of the flea markets is someone wanted to get hold of a gun license. So they have see the same way we could get a dodgy MOT certificate. You can get a gun license. But the guys I know, if you've held a gun license for a certain amount of time without no issues, you can progress then after 5 years to get in. Because I was saying to the guys, you haven't got automatic weapons on license, have you? So like a Uzi, gun, essentially. And they were like, yeah. And they just pulled them out of their backpacks.
What?
Licensed. This was the thing I didn't know about, was that in places like Florida, for sure, if you've held a semi-automatic license for a certain amount of time, like 5 years, with no problems, you can then apply for the license to get a full automatic weapon. Yeah.
Jeez.
So the guy was telling me, this is the thing, is that I wanted my children to although those guys are not directly my friends, through my friends, they know them. And, I wanted my children to see that side of it, to be aware of that when you're in Miami. Yeah. And they were telling me about what they keep it because they say they're rappers. I know it's not their rap. This is mixtape underground rapping.
This is bedroom rap, yeah? Okay.
Gold tattoos, wearing their 2-pack shirts. And I was just like, and they keep the guns for protection. And I was like, what do you need it for protection? They were like, nah, my mate had to have a shootout the other week. Some guy come to try and rob his gold. I was like, why would somebody come at him knowing full well he has guns? Do you know what I mean? And try to steal his gold. And they had a shootout in the car park. Yeah, with machine guns. I was like, really?
You wasn't there, right? Okay.
No. Trying to say to me that they carry the guns because they do need them. Because I was saying, you carry the gun, you keep the guns and whatever, and bring up your children to know to shoot for protection, but you don't have to use them. You see what I mean? And if you don't have to, why do you need to keep them? And they were like, no, we do use them. So I was like, really? But the guys are licensed gun. This, right to stand my ground and stuff, all like that in Florida. So after the guy had left, the guy who was trying to rob him, the police turned up, and obviously he's got licensed guns. He's allowed to shoot them to protect himself. So he wasn't in trouble for having that shootout. That's why they're allowed to have guns. But do you see what I mean? That side of America is just like, madness. Oh my goodness. Could you imagine we just go to Sainsbury's car park and someone tries to rob us, and we can get a gun out and shoot at them and have a shoot up in the car park. And when the police arrive, we're not even in trouble.
Madness. That's madness.
Because we got a gun license. So yeah, that side of America, I was really pleased my children got to, even though those guys, they was like, yeah, link to me on Instagram. I was like, no.
For real? No.
Yeah, I'll do it later.
No.
I was like, I don't want
you don't want no affiliation, babe. None at all.
Sharon, they have got, their Instagrams are full of guns. That's what they showed me. They were like, yeah, look at my boy at the shooting range. Then they were like, what's your Instagram handle? I was like, nah. I can't remember. But my friends that live out there, they know these guys. Do you know what I mean? They don't, it's there is a whole gang life out there, and I would say it's not how it's portrayed on TV. These guys are family orientated. Do you know what I mean? They carry guns for protection. And you would say, oh, why do you need that level of protection? Well, if you've got money, then stupid people try to rob you with a gun. Yeah. So hopefully that might help explain a little bit about guns. And I'd say until someone's been and actually seen it, then you can't really judge it.
True. That's Miami, right? So what else did you go? Because I
Yeah.
know you were in the Caribbean. Did you go to the
Yeah.
Caribbean
So
elsewhere?
now we get to the Caribbean. So I'm thinking, oh, we're going to go to West Indies. And then I see £65 tickets to Bahamas from
Well, oh yeah,
Miami.
because it's super duper close. It's on the doorstep.
Yeah. Like Bahama Air, the equivalent of £65 a ticket. I was like, you know what? And then I checked to see if I could get out because sometimes the tickets in are cheap and the getting out isn't. So I was like, I booked that, went to Bahamas, stayed in, I went over the hill. So it was over the hill in Bahamas, stayed in an apartment with the kids. It was great again. The great thing was when we landed, the kids just straight away went, they were just like, and Riley goes to me, Mum, I love it. It's black people.
Oh, where in the Bahamas did you go to? Which one of the islands?
We were on, I think it's the main Bahamas. It's the main
Grand
Bahamas, isn't
Bahama?
it? It's not Grand
Yeah, I think it
Bahamas.
is Grand Bahama is the main one. Or you were in Nassau, the capital?
No, we went on the, yeah,
Okay. Hmm.
Nassau. Yeah, that one. But there's lots of other
Yes.
islands. We were in the main one. We went to the main Bahamas. I didn't know. I think it's called Bahamas, isn't it?
Grand Bahama, I
I
think
don't
it's
know.
called.
That sounds really silly. I went there.
You were
I
in
spent
the
2 weeks
Bahamas. Oh, you
there.
spent 2 weeks in the Bahamas.
Yeah, we were only supposed to be there a week, but I ended up missing a flight out there, and
It happens to the
we had
best
to
of
stay
us.
for next week.
Oh,
Yeah, but that was due to the fact. So basically, when I went to Bahamas, I took a certain amount of money out before I went, expecting to have to use my cards over there. When I got there, I could not use my cards at all. So
oh.
usually, if I can't use my cards in one cash machine, I go to a next one and a next one. And eventually I'll find a cash machine where I can use my cards. Could not use my cards at all. So once my money ran down, the only way, in the end, I had to use MoneyGram to send money to myself.
Oh.
Yeah. And, I won't even go into it. But yeah, like I said, one of the worst bits about traveling the world was the whole issue of getting my money out. So it meant that when I went to go the morning before we were supposed to fly out to go to Jamaica, I went to go and get a MoneyGram order so that we'd have enough money. When I went to get that MoneyGram order, you're not allowed to send money to yourself. So MoneyGram caught up with that after about 6th or 7th time I've done it, and it just blacklisted me. So the money I put down to send to myself, which was my last bit of money, I couldn't actually get out. It was like you have to wait 5 days for a refund. And I was just like, shit, I've got a flight to catch and a taxi to get, and it just all went wrong. So I only missed the flight by half an hour. If the woman weren't such a bitch at the counter, she could have got on it. Because I spent about 15 minutes speaking to her, and then I said, right, give me the flight manager, put him on the phone. She spoke to him first, and when she was speaking to him, I should have just took the phone off of her. Because some computer says no people, you know, even if they ring through to the manager, they will talk it down. So after another 15 minutes, I must have wasted about half an hour. I just said, ring him up again. I spoke to him, I explained the situation, because I'd already booked accommodation where we were going, that I couldn't obviously get that money back as well. And I explained it to him, and he said, all right, we'll let you through. Do you see what I mean? Put the woman back on the phone, and she refused to do it, even though she had no right to. Yeah, it was just, and then eventually when I did fly out of Bahamas, my flight was delayed 7 hours. Can you believe that? So, and I know they were sitting on the tarmac while they hadn't even boarded the plane when I was standing there arguing, saying, let me get on the flight. Do you see what I mean? But it's sometimes when you're dealing with West Indian countries, this is what I was going to say. As a West Indies, there's a whole Indo-Caribbean, Afro-Caribbean issue that you come across. And I get it. I can sense it. Do you see what I mean? So yeah, we did Bahamas. Bahamas, I would say, right, so Atlantis, very expensive. The cheapest way to do Atlantis is to book one of the hotels. But I'm so cheap, I wasn't prepared to even do that because I had an apartment booked. So I basically, I was like, I said to people, I said, this is like Jamaica, right? In Jamaica, I can go and I can hustle. I was like, where's the hustlers? And eventually we managed to find someone who would, they were going to go do a ticket. It was still something like $100. Even a ticket on the sly, you'd only save about $50 per person. And then I was like, I don't even want to do tickets. And the guy was like, well, I could just sneak you in with no armband. And if they catch you, just say,
So
oh, I'm new.
Atlantis is
You know,
one of
like,
Bahamas' premier hotels, right?
yeah, it's more to do with their water park, yeah. And that whole thing. So yeah, we went in. So with that, you go around the back, and then some guy was all speeching some girl at the gate, you know, with the barrier. I was just sitting there looking out the window the other way, thinking, because he's all like, yeah, I might come back and get your number later. I'm all thinking he's got me sitting in the front of his car and people all in the back, and he's chirping the girl to get us in the place. Girl lifted up the barrier. I was like, I know. She must be thinking, who's that girl sitting next to you? But got us in, and then once you get dropped off to the hotel, it's kind of like, yeah, we know how to just hustle. I was like, if you just, most places, if you just walk like you're supposed to be there, no one will ever ask any questions. So, but to be honest, I would not have paid. I think it was something like $150 per ticket or a bit more. I would have been gutted if I'd have paid that to go in there. Do you know what I mean? That's just to the water park. They got the tube that you go under the tube through the water where you've got all sharks around you and stuff like that. You know, it's just one of those world famous kind of things. I was like, well, we're here, we should do it. So I was happy to hustle my way and get in there. We thought that was hilarious. And then you do the pictures, you know, with the backdrop of because it's got like two twin tower type things. Everybody can recognize Atlantis. But funny enough, in Bahamas, near where I was staying over the hill, there was a beach. I can't remember the name of it. But when you look on Google Maps, right, they make the beach look dusty. Yeah, because it's not the tourist beaches. Do you see what I mean? Near the Atlantis and all that side. We went to that beach, and I swear, out of all the beaches I've been to on this round the world trip, that was the most beautiful beach I've ever seen. Yet when you look at the picture on Google Maps, they make the beach look dusty. Yeah, the beach was, you know, when it's really shallow, so we could just lie down in the water with see-through water all around us, yeah, drinking beers, because I think we went on a Sunday. Do you know what I mean? And it was just, and that shallowness was like 4 miles.
Wow.
That's how beautiful it was. So the kids could just go play. They were over by some rocks finding starfish, you know, and the fish because it's quite shallow, the fish will stay near the rocks. So you could just go under the water and feel the fish with like a snorkel mask on. Because obviously if they swim out from that rock, they've got a mile to go before they get to deep water. So they're just staying by the rock. Because I think there'd been a hurricane or something before, a week before
there was a hurricane?
in Bahamas. Yeah, there was a week before we had arrived, actually, because we were still looking at some of the damage of it. So when I first arrived, the hotel that I stayed in a really nice hotel. I think I used Airbnb for that one. So I didn't use Airbnb a lot. I mainly used, what's that other one called? Oh, I can't even remember it. Let me just see. I might still have it on my phone. What's the main one you use when you're
Hotels.com. I stay in hotels.
Yeah. No, I don't use
Booking.com.
hotels.com. Bookings.com. Yeah, Bookings.com is the main thing I booked with. There was a couple of other apps that I used in different areas, but generally Bookings.com. And I really didn't use Airbnb because I thought I would use Airbnb. That was what the surprise.
What made you not use it so much?
I didn't feel confident in what I was booking because they contacted me to do like a review of why I'd stopped using them, because it was more that, you know, when you do the listing and then you got the cleaning charge and then all of this, I didn't like that side of it. I only want to book apartments, you know. hotels I use bookings.com, or I'm booking apartments. I don't want to do anything where I'm in people's houses.
Totally.
Does that make sense? That's me personally. I know there's a market for that, but that's not me. So we did bookings.com mainly. I don't know if I got a discount off them or something, but yeah, the first hotel I stayed in, I found a hotel, and I think I'd used Airbnb for that, and that's where I think Airbnb can be good. And we were our room was right on the seafront, so you could look out of our window and see the sea. And I'd only booked that at the beginning. Before then, I wanted to take the kids to the more, local native-y kind of area. But it was nice. That one had a nice pool and all of that stuff. So it's nice to experience both sides of those kind of countries. Do the touristy bit and then go over the hill and go ghetto.
Over the hill.
And just get your dollar cabs about. Yeah. So I could just get on a dollar cab and go where I wanted. So Bahamas. So when we eventually left Bahamas, we went to Jamaica, but we only stayed in Jamaica. I think it was 2 nights in the end. Yeah, we were on Kingston side, and I've been to Jamaica before. I don't need to, do Jamaica. We just stayed like near where we were staying. Do you see what I mean? There wasn't. I would love to have gone up into the Blue Mountains and stuff like that, but to be honest, it just wasn't the right time. Do you see what I mean? So we did Jamaica, then we flew to Trinidad. No, it was my flight out that I had to get. Basically, I missed the flight. The original flight that I was getting, we were going to be going to Trinidad. But when I missed that flight, the next flight that they put me on, because basically I had to speech them to put me on the next flight. And they're saying, oh, because you missed the flight, you got to pay £50 a ticket and all of this stuff. Do you know what I mean? And I'm trying to tell them I'm not even paying that. So, yeah, because they could have let me on that flight. So, basically how slow these countries are. As soon as you get to West Indies, these flights aren't taking off on time. And that's what I said. I've got on Caribbean Airlines before, got to the airport thinking, oh, I've definitely missed this flight, and they still let you on. So it all just depends who's working in the check-in
and who you
desk.
speak to.
And if that person's like,
what mood she today?
I was like, I'm traveling with 2 children. Do you know what I mean? We're a family and stuff. And she just had some kind of bitterness about me. Because most people would be like, oh, you've got your children, of course. That means you've bought 4 tickets. Yeah, we're going to do everything we can to get you on this flight. The problem was that company didn't have a flight out until 4 days later. And that was the biggest problem for me. I then the people whose apartment I was renting wasn't available. So I had to run around trying to find somewhere else to rent in Bahamas. Yippee. So went to Jamaica. So by the time I got to Jamaica, I just really wasn't, you know what I mean? I wasn't in no touristy mood. Yeah, and I didn't plan to go to Jamaica either. Do you see what I mean? That was just, so we went to Jamaica. From Jamaica, we then waited for the next flight to get to Trinidad. Then we went Barbados. Because once we got to Trinidad, I was just like, we hit Trinidad. We stayed in Trinidad for 1 day, flew to Barbados, and then I spent my month in Barbados
for a month. Ooh, that's nice.
No, because at that point, like I said, I just wanted to just chill. Barbados is my favorite Caribbean island of where I can relax and just walk about, get on the bus, and do what I want. I don't worry in Barbados. I mean, while we were out there on the high street, I didn't see it, but I was in town that day. A man killed his girlfriend in front of their 2 children. So it's quite, you do get, that's a domestic gone really wrong. And even the Bayesian people were shocked, which is why they didn't realize they were having an argument on the street, but they didn't realize that the guy was going to actually pull a knife and stab her up. Do you see what I mean? Because most people would have usually intervened before it got to that. So that was in the news when we were out there. But I think in Jamaica and places like that, most of that stuff is domestic. Okay? So I think the woman had left the guy or whatever, and the guy had just gone nuts. But other than that, I think you're quite safe in
Lovely.
Barbados.
Go ahead.
You can just, yeah, and you got you got public beaches in Barbados where you can just leave your bags near the bars and stuff like that, or set up whatever. You don't have to hire I don't hire the the lounges. But you can still use the bars and the facilities and the Wi-Fi and everything like that. So Barbados is great for that. Whereas in Jamaica, I'm not leaving my bag on the public beach. That's if I can even buy on the public. With the amount of hustlers, they're going to be hustling me to get my hair plaited, buy some weed, this, and that. So that's why when we was in Kingston, it's like there's no really, there's nowhere where we're really going to go stay and enjoy it while we wait to fly out. You got to pay for a hotel beach in Jamaica. Do you see what I mean? Even if it's not your hotel, you just give the beach people $20 or whatever on a hustle, and they give you an armband to use the beach all day. Because I used to do that. That's my normal stay in Jamaica. I would usually somewhere like the Renaissance Grand or something like that. I'll just pay the bar, and they just give you free drinks all day, and you get to use. Yeah, even if you're not staying at a hotel, you can still do a deal with the bar people. So
you did a whole month in Barbados. You relaxed and chilled. You took in the sight. So after Barbados, where did you go after that? Did you come back to UK?
Yeah, so it was coming up to May. So we then oh no. So what? No, that wasn't it. Sorry. We then flew from Barbados back to Trinidad. Yeah. Because basically it was either I was going to leave the kids in Barbados. Basically, I was going to take the children to Guyana. But Guyana is quite poor and stuff like that. We decided to just go as adults. So I think this was coming up near my birthday, or just around about, or my birthday was going to be in the month of May. So it's kind of like for my birthday present. It was the first time, it was something that I planned to do in traveling, that I would be able to leave my children and I fly to a different country. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like I do the hop over, but they don't, because I couldn't. The problem wasn't getting the children into Guyana. The problem was the level of hotel I would have to pay for to keep the children there, which meant I would have to book. They have got a nice hotel there now, though. They've got the Marriott. So I had planned to go there for us to stay in the Marriott, and then I could go about and do what I needed to do. But the problem was, one, paying for the Marriott for the amount of days we needed to go, and also the flight out was expensive. So going into Guyana is not expensive, flying out is. So I managed to get a really cheap Liat flight for us to jump over to Trinidad. So I said I was going to leave, because I have some friends in Trinidad. I said I'm going to leave them in Trinidad rather than Barbados. And I just felt, for some reason, I just felt like Trinidad was closer. And then I would do the hop over from Trinidad to Guyana. So then we went Guyana, I went and did the waterfall in Guyana. That was it. I always wanted to go to the waterfall in Guyana. So that was absolutely amazing. So we did, you do like a small plane excursion. Yeah. So I booked that. And the thing is, they don't know if that flight is going to be taken off. The flight only goes, because it's one of these little small planes. Have you ever been on those planes, Sharon?
Depends on what small it is. Smallest I've been on is probably Liat or a Chalk's plane flying from Miami to Bahamas, but nothing smaller than that.
Exactly. One is like a proper small plane, so it seats about 10 people. The plane is so narrow, like you got 2 seats on this side and 1 that side, and you're squeezing. Like when I got on the plane, the back door, most of the people didn't even they couldn't move forward because they couldn't get down the alleyway. It was so tight. So most people was the back of the plane, and they'd already said to some other guy, I see them say to some other guys, these 2 white guys going on the plane, I think they were white. Yeah, but touristy. But they'd said to one of them, do you want to go and sit in the front? Because the plane's so small, you're going to use the front seat as well. This is the front seat with the with the steering, you know. So I was like, I saw that, and I'm thinking, I'm like risking my life as it is getting on a plane like this with a propeller, one propeller. Not one. That means one engine failure, not two. So I'm when I see them saying about this boy going up the front, I just didn't even think. Yeah. So when I get on now, because I'm slimmer, I'm thinking I'm gonna go right to the front. You know, the seats behind the pilot, because all these other people is too big to squash up there. And I don't want the plane being all lopsided with all these people sitting towards the back. So, and the booking was only gonna work if the plane is full. But I think what happens in the end, people book with different flight companies, and then those flight companies work together to stick everybody on the same plane, because fuel is really expensive in Guyana and stuff like that. Do you see what I mean? To fly that plane, and it's quite a distance that we're flying. So, and I must admit, before I mention the Liat flight, did I fly Liat or did I fly? I can't remember what I flew, but when I flew from Trinidad to Guyana, this is how I know I was supposed to go from a spiritual point of view. I saw my first 360-degree rainbow.
Wow, that's beautiful.
After we dived in Barbados, sorry, I'm jumping about now. When I went to Barbados, I don't know, can I do that on a podcast?
Do you think?
Sorry, Shan. After a month in Barbados, I did say, right, when we get to Barbados, I want to take the kids scuba diving. Barbados is the first place that I ever scuba dived. And as we walked to Browns Beach, I said to the children, let's walk up and see if the same scuba dive place where I first scuba dived is. And we walked up, and I recognized it from the beach, because it's one of those ones where the dive shack isn't on the beach, it's further back. So you have to carry your kit across all the sand. Because when I first scuba dived, I was bitching about carrying my heavy tank, and I was just like, what kind of, ghetto scuba dive place is this? It's not like Sandals where it's but I love that scuba dive. For all the scuba dives I've done after that, that was my most favorite scuba dive ever. And it was the amount of fish I saw. So I said, and when I walked up there, the same dive shack is still there. And then that's when we were basically, I sussed it out, and they said that Riley's got to be 10 to scuba dive. And at that stage, Riley was still 9. Yeah. So, because Caribbean rules are a little bit more relaxed. And I was just like, oh. So then I left it, went back. And then when I went back, basically, because I scuba dive, I said, I want Riley to just practice with a kit. And he wasn't going to do a full dive. So I took, this is where you put your full kit on with the mouthpiece, you do the training session, and then you just go into the sea, you just walk into the sea, into it, a cordoned off area, and you just get to practice all your moves that you need to do for diving. And that was all that Riley was going to do, and he was going to stay on the boat. Yeah. But when we then caught the boat out to the dive site, the other guy on the boat, we were all diving, including Tyler, but the other guy on the boat was doing training with another guy. So Riley would have been the only boy on the boat. Do you see? There was only 2 staff on the boat. But the dive master diving with us, she wanted Riley to come down anyway, and it was so sweet, because she was trying to teach him how to take his mouthpiece out and put it back in when we did the shallow dive. And he couldn't do it, because I'm his mum and I know how to teach him. I could actually show him. You do this and you press the button, and I kept showing him like 3 or 4 times how to do it underwater. And in the end, he got it. So she take him down, and I kind of, like I said, I often put it to God. And we were very fortunate to have a dive trip where it wasn't any more people, and we had a dedicated dive master for the cost that I paid. Quite special. Brilliant. So she arm locked with him the whole dive, and Tyler stayed with me and my other friend dived in, and Tyler was all right. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, we went to 40 meters. There's about 7 wrecks, all like in a big massive circle, and Riley was absolutely fine. because you don't need to take your mouthpiece out and do all of that stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm certified diver anyway, but as long as he can equalize with his his nose and stuff, and he did fine. Funny enough, we were then going to 60 foot, and Tyler was the one that actually got a bit of an issue because she was following me. So when I dive, I can equalize. Do you see what I mean? So I can swim up and down and upside down and do all kinds of things. And I think Tyler was trying to keep up with me, so she got a kind of little bit of bubbles. So we couldn't take him to 60 foot, which I'm cool with. I weren't even going to take Riley down. But then we could take them back up to the boat. And then because I'm certified, me and my friend could just go and do our dive that we wanted to do separate at 60. And yeah, it was, so Barbados, that was my highlight in Barbados, taking my children to the place I dived at.
Wow, that's really special.
Same dive site and everything. And being a mum, this is before I ever had my children. I dived there. Do you see what I mean? And being a mum and taking my children down. They've even got a phone at the bottom that you can pick up.
Wow.
Shipwrecks, and you pick it up. Yeah, it's like all covered in coral and stuff, but it's hilarious. Barbados is a fantastic place and a fantastic place to dive as well. So where did I get to? Yeah, so when we came out the water in Barbados, that was the first time I saw a 360, actually. So remember I was just saying when I flew from Trinidad to Guyana, I saw 360. So when I came out, it wasn't a clear 360, but as we looked up, we saw the circle of a 360 rainbow, which I think was a nice spiritual thing for me in terms of that I've come to this point with my own children. And then when I flew to, I don't know when you were traveling, if you had those moments.
360 rainbow.
You know, where... No, but you had moments when spirit was
telling every day.
You,
I had a lot of those moments, and I was definitely protected and covered. And yeah, I had a lot of those moments. But so you did a whole month in Barbados. You relaxed and chilled. You took in the sight. So after Barbados, where did you go after that? Did you come back to UK?
Yeah, so it was coming up to May. So we then oh no. So what? No, that wasn't it. Sorry. We then flew from Barbados back to Trinidad. Yeah. Because basically it was either I was going to leave the kids in Barbados. Basically, I was going to take the children to Guyana. But Guyana is quite poor and stuff like that. We decided to just go as adults. So I think this was coming up near my birthday, or just around about, or my birthday was going to be in the month of May. So it's kind of like for my birthday present. It was the first time, it was something that I planned to do in traveling, that I would be able to leave my children and I fly to a different country.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like I do the hop over, but they don't, because I couldn't. The problem wasn't getting the children into Guyana. The problem was the level of hotel I would have to pay for to keep the children there, which meant I would have to book. They have got a nice hotel there now, though. They've got the Marriott. So I had planned to go there for us to stay in the Marriott, and then I could go about and do what I needed to do. But the problem was, one, paying for the Marriott for the amount of days we needed to go, and also the flight out was expensive. So going into Guyana is not expensive, flying out is. So I managed to get a really cheap Liat flight for us to jump over to Trinidad. So I said I was going to leave, because I have some friends in Trinidad. I said I'm going to leave them in Trinidad rather than Barbados. And I just felt, for some reason, I just felt like Trinidad was closer. And then I would do the hop over from Trinidad to Guyana. So then we went Guyana, I went and did the waterfall in Guyana. That was it. I always wanted to go to the waterfall in Guyana. So that was absolutely amazing. So we did, you do like a small plane excursion. Yeah. So I booked that. And the thing is, they don't know if that flight is going to be taken off. The flight only goes, because it's one of these little small planes. Have you ever been on those planes, Sharon?
Depends on what small. So small I've been on
They
this
are
is probably
small.
Liat or a chalk's playing fine from Miami to Bahamas, but nothing smaller than that.
Exactly. This one is like a proper small plane, so it seats about like, I don't know, 10 people. The plane is so narrow. Like you got 2 seats on this side and one that side, yeah, and you're squeezing. Like most of when I got on the plane, the back door, most of the people didn't even move to. They couldn't move forward because they couldn't get down the alleyway. It was so tight. So most people was the back of the plane, yeah. And they'd already said to some other guy, I see them say to some other guys, these 2 white guys going on the plane, yeah. I think they were white, yeah, but touristy. But they'd said to one of them, do you want to go and sit in the front? Because the plane's so small, you're going to use the front seat as well. This is the front seat with the steering, you know. So I was like, I saw that and I'm thinking, I'm like risking my life as it is getting on a plane like this with a propeller, one
Shit,
propeller.
Tammy.
Not one. That means 1 engine failure, not 2.
Shit.
So I'm when I see them saying about this boy going up the front, I just didn't even think, yeah. So when I get on now, because I'm slimmer, I'm thinking I'm gonna go right to the front, you know, the seats behind the pilot, because all these other people is too big to squash up there. And I don't want the plane being all lopsided with all these people sitting towards the back. So, and the booking was only gonna work if the plane is full. But I think what happens in the end, people book with different flight companies, and then those flight companies work together to stick everybody on the same plane, because fuel is really expensive in Guyana and stuff like that. Do you see what I mean? To fly that plane, and it's quite a distance that we're flying. So, and I must admit, before I mention the Liat flight, did I fly Liat or did I fly? I can't remember what I flew, but when I flew from Trinidad to Guyana, this is how I know I was supposed to go from a spiritual point of view. I saw my first 360-degree rainbow.
Wow, that's beautiful.
After we dived in Barbados, sorry, I'm jumping about now. When I went to Barbados, I don't know, can I do that on a
Do you think?
podcast? Sorry, Shan. After a month in Barbados, I did say, right, when we get to Barbados, I want to take the kids scuba diving. Barbados is the first place that I ever scuba dived. And as we walked to Browns Beach, I said to the children, let's walk up and see if the same scuba dive place where I first scuba dived is. And we walked up and I recognized it from the beach, because it's one of those ones where the dive shack isn't on the beach. It's further back. So you have to carry your kit across all the sand. Because when I first scuba dived, I was bitching about carrying my heavy tank. And I was just like, what kind of, ghetto scuba dive place is this? It's not like Sandals where you. But I love that scuba dive. For all the scuba dives I've done after that, that was my most favorite scuba dive ever. And it was the amount of fish I saw. So I said, and when I walked up there, the same dive shack is still there. And then that's when we were basically, I sussed it out, and they said that Riley's got to be 10 to scuba dive. And at that stage, Riley was still 9. Yeah. So, because Caribbean rules are a little bit more relaxed. And I was just like, oh. So then I left it, went back. And then when I went back, basically, because I scuba dive, I said, I want Riley to just practice with a kit. And he wasn't going to do a full dive. So I took, this is where you put your full kit on with the mouthpiece, you do the training session, and then you just go into the sea, you just walk into the sea, into it, a cordoned off area, and you just get to practice all your moves that you need to do for diving. And that was all that Riley was going to do, and he was going to stay on the boat. Yeah. But when we then caught the boat out to the dive site, the other guy on the boat, we were all diving, including Tyler, but the other guy on the boat was doing training with another guy. So Riley would have been the only boy on the boat. Do you see? There was only 2 staff on the boat. But the dive master diving with us, she wanted Riley to come down anyway, and it was so sweet because she was trying to teach him how to take his mouthpiece out and put it back in when we did the shallow dive. And he couldn't do it because I'm his mum and I know how to teach him. I could actually show him, this, and you press the button. And I kept showing him like 3 or 4 times how to do it underwater. And in the end, he got it. So she take him down, and I kind of, you know, like I said, I often put it to God. And we were very fortunate to have a dive trip where it wasn't any more people, and we had a dedicated dive master for the cost that I paid.
Quite special.
Brilliant. So she arm locked with him the whole dive, and Tyler stayed with me, and my other friend dived in, and Tyler was all right. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, we went to 40 meters. There's about 7 wrecks, all like in a big massive circle. And Riley was absolutely fine, because you don't need to take the mouthpiece out and do all of that stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm a certified diver anyway, but as long as he can equalize with his his nose and stuff, and he did fine. Funny enough, we were then going to 60 foot, and Tyler was the one that actually got a bit of an issue, because she was following me. So when I dive, I can equalize. Do you see what I mean? So I can swim up and down and upside down and do all kinds of things. And I think Tyler was trying to keep up with me, so she got a kind of little bit of bubbles. So we couldn't take him to 60 foot, which I'm cool with. I weren't even going to take Riley down. But then we could take them back up to the boat, and then because I'm certified, me and my friend could just go and do our dive that we wanted to do separate at 60. And yeah, it was, so Barbados, that was my highlight in Barbados, taking my children to the place I dived at.
Wow, that's really special.
Same dive site and everything, and being a mum. This is before I ever had my children. I dived there. Do you see what I mean? And being a mum and taking my children down. And they've even got a phone at the bottom that you can pick up.
Wow.
Shipwrecks, and you pick it up. Yeah, it's like all covered in coral and stuff, but it's hilarious. Barbados is a fantastic place, and a fantastic place to dive as well. So where did I get to? Yeah, so when we came out the water in Barbados, that was the first time I saw a 360, actually. So remember, I was just saying, when I flew from Trinidad to Guyana, I saw 360. So when I came out, it wasn't a clear 360, but as we looked up, we saw the circle of a 360 rainbow. Which I think was a nice spiritual thing for me, in terms of that I've come to this point with my own children. And then when I flew to, I don't know when you were traveling, if you had those moments.
360 rainbow.
You know, where... No, but you had moments when spirit was
day, every day. I had a lot of those moments, and I was definitely protected and covered. And yeah, I had a lot of those moments. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good, people, we've come to the end of the show. Thank you one and all for listening. You could be anywhere, but you chose to bring your listening ears to the Hot Foot Roams podcast. Thanks. So yeah, I just want to say thanks for listening. Thanks to the people who actually subscribe and download. To those of you who subscribe, download, thank you so much. Episode didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, you know. It really didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it, but doesn't need to be perfect. It just needed to be finished. And I say all the time, you know, I don't know what I'm doing. So this is just a reflection of the fact that I don't know what I'm doing. So I hope you enjoyed it. You can find the podcast on all platforms where podcasts are available. That's at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, Radio Public, Tune In, and of course Anchor. Now you might not know half of those, but for those who do, I'm there. All you need to do is search Hot Foot Roams. I will turn up. Or shall I say, the Hot Foot Roams podcast turns up. So yeah, listen on your favorite preferred app. Download it, like it, comment, share, subscribe. And you can comment good, bad, or ugly, you know. That's okay. I'll live. That's fine. Or you can, you know, if you're that type of person, you can send me an email if there's something that you want to hear me talk about. that I haven't talked about yet, by all means, send me an email. And my email is hotfootroams@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram at hotfootroams, and on Twitter, and on Tumblr, and on YouTube. People, I just ask if you just be kind. Don't cuss me. I'm just not, I'm working on my social media presence, just not that good. So, my Instagram's all right. It's all right. It could be a bit more updated more frequently, but it's all right. See, my Twitter's kind of lagging. And then my Tumblr and my YouTube, Lord have mercy. Yeah, it needs work, but it's getting there. Don't worry. Don't worry. And what was I going to say? The blog is coming sooner than soon. That's like all I'm going to say right now. But it is actually coming sooner than soon, like sooner than soon. It's in progress. Like before I was just chatting, but right now it's actually tap, 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 tap in the works. So yeah, it's coming soon. And then I'm just going to constantly talk about it when it's up, aren't I? So, yeah, you can also you can send me a voice note, on the Anchor app. I don't know if you knew that already, but you can actually do that. If you download the Anchor app, then you can send a voice note. Ta-da! And then I'll feature it in the show if you like. If it's relevant, if you're sending me a voice note to just cuss and carry on, then maybe not. Only if it's relevant. I'll take the cussing too, if it's relevant. So anyway, on the next episode, I am interviewing another one of my still band friends, actually. Her name is Kay. She packed up her belongings and left the big smoke of London City to teach in Dubai. 3 years later, she's still there. So I'm going to be talking to her in the next episode about life in Dubai and, yeah, what's it like teaching some privileged kids in the desert. So yeah, see you next time on the Hot Foot Run podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and yeah, we shall meet again. Ooh, I almost forgot. Be sure to follow Tammy at Tammy Lynn Saunders. So that's spelled TammyLynSaunders. Facebook and Instagram, Tammy Lynn Saunders. Thanks. You know it's the end when you hear this quote. Those who roam are not always lost. Keep roaming, people. Take care.